Hello. In this short presentation, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the exam coaching part of my business. If you're watching this, then I'm presuming that you're a student or somebody close to a student. So before we start, let me just draw your attention to previous blog posts and presentations that I've done aimed at students. You can see that there are some hyperlinks here. You can't click on the video recording to get them, but if you go back to the PowerPoint presentation that's contained within the blog post that you got the recording from, you'll be able to link to the recordings and the blog posts on those different aspects. There's also going to be one in a couple of weeks about revision and exams as we get to that time of year. If you also follow my Facebook page, which is Carpe Diem Counselling and Coaching, you'll get regular links to all the latest posts there. A lot of them are aimed at students, but there's also things on other emotional issues that you might find helpful. And there's more information on me and my business and my background, etc. on my webpage, carpediemperth.com.au. So, when I talk about exam coaching, what exactly am I talking about? There's basically two aspects as I see it. The main one is going to be tutoring in accounting and business subjects. So basically helping you to understand the technical content of those subjects. But also increasingly, I find that people struggle with some of the emotional issues around studying. So we can also look at some of that stuff as well. I'll say a bit more about that later on. First of all, tutoring. Why come to me for tutoring as opposed to someone else? Well, first of all, I have many, many years of experience in lecturing and accounting. I started my accounting lecturing career in the UK to university there. I've taught professional accounting students in various Asian countries for many years, and I'm now based and work in Australia. I taught at ECU here in Australia quite recently for 6 years, and over all those years I've had consistently really good feedback from students in terms of understanding things that they really had struggled to understand before. As well as Carpe Diem, I have another business that's been going for quite a few years now, where I basically provide writing, reviewing, consulting services to one of the largest worldwide accounting bodies. So I basically write and review accounting questions and give feedback on them. I also am a contract writer with a worldwide professional accounting publisher, and they write textbooks for students from all kinds of different professional accounting bodies. So I've contributed to materials used by students doing CPA Australia, ISCA, which is the Institute in Singapore, ACCA, which is the Chartered Certified Institute, also places like Zambia, Sri Lanka, Malawi. I've basically helped with their books for those students. So essentially, I've got tons of experience of lecturing and very high levels of technical knowledge. Here's a picture of the tutoring room in my home, which is basically where we normally meet to have the tutoring. I definitely cover financial accounting and auditing. I may or may not be able to help you with other areas of accounting, finance and business. Now, I say that because I only want to be charging you for my services when I know that I can add value and I know that my technical knowledge is up to the task. So as far as financial accounting and auditing are concerned, that is definitely a case. However, sometimes some of the other subjects, I may not have taught it for a number of years. I may not feel that I can really teach you this without me having to spend a lot of time researching it and having to charge you. So I might say no, but it depends really. I've had students recently getting me to do management accounting stuff with them, finance stuff with them, and it's all been absolutely fine. So if you're interested in those other areas, just ask me and we can go from there. And if nothing else, we can give it a go. And if I don't feel that I'm adding value, then I won't actually charge you. Obviously, this is meant to be my living. I'm meant to be making money out of this, but I don't want to do it at the expense of ripping people off. So it's all about providing a good service. What kind of things do we do in the tutoring? It varies really, depending on what it is that you need. Usually it might be going through your existing lecture notes, maybe explaining things that aren't very clear, maybe summarising, rephrasing things in a more straightforward manner. A lot of the online and external courses these days will kind of give you brief notes referring to something else. I can just pad those out for you, amplify, explain. Going through practice questions that you might have been given, explaining how to approach them, not just about getting the right answer, but about how to actually approach the question in the first place. Sometimes giving a lecture from scratch on a topic where the notes you have are inadequate, providing additional practice questions based on stuff that I've already got, or sometimes even writing them for you. And depending on how many people are interested, perhaps even writing you a special revision program just for you. What I don't do, incidentally, is write essays for you and stuff like this. If you Google, you'll find loads of places like essay writing services for students. I don't do that because that's basically plagiarism. So I don't do your work for you, but I'll help you to learn and do your work yourself. There's a difference. I can do this for you individually, or I can do it in small groups, and it's more cost effective for you if you can do it in small groups, if you can find people who want to learn the same thing as you. You might wonder, why should you pay me as opposed to self-studying? Well, essentially, because of my great experience of teaching, I'm able to pick out what the key aspects are of each topic and direct you and help you understand those parts rather than worrying too much about the peripheral areas. I'm also able, therefore, to get through the material much more quickly. So I find that a lot of the students that come to me are mature students with jobs and families who don't have a lot of free time. And so rather than spending ages ploughing through very thick textbooks on their own, trying to work it out themselves, it's much more time effective for them and therefore cost effective to come and see me and get through it fairly quickly. Also, as we go through, I can see where you're misunderstanding, I can ask you questions, I can correct your misstatements and your misunderstandings on the spot so that you go forward with a much better knowledge of what's happening. Essentially, in the end, it all comes down to experience, and because I've been doing this for such a long time, I know many techniques and tips and ways of communicating this stuff to you very, very clearly. I can also help with some of the emotional issues that surround studying. I have a master's in counselling and psychotherapy. There's more about that on my website. And as well as offering sort of general counselling services, I find that students who come for exam coaching sometimes have emotional issues relating to studying. So, especially when we get near the exams, students quite often can have panic attacks. So we can look at how you can actually stop that happening, what to happen, not to do when you have a panic attack, practicing mindfulness and breathing techniques that can really help, managing anxiety and stress generally, and then stuff like time management, organisation, and study skills. If you have a look at my web page, if you look at the blog post section, there's a few posts on there on aspects of that you might find useful. But essentially, you don't study just the subject, you have to learn to manage yourself, and so I can help with that. This was meant to be quite brief. I don't want to go on forever. So if you want further information, please do get in touch. You can get more information on my webpage about my services and my business and background. You can email me, you can phone me. And as I said, if you follow the Facebook page, you'll get all the latest tips and techniques as I produce them. Thank you for listening.